Hey everybody, John and Lance from the bench, mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. I hope you subscribe to this channel. If you haven't, please hit the button, subscribe, and so you can get all the notifications and everything else that we're doing here. Let's talk about some Astros baseball here. The Astros came to terms with Carlos Correa, $11.7 million for 1 year. It's the last year of his arbitration. They haven't agreed to a long-term deal yet. What do you think? I think they will, Lance. But I think they had to get this one out of the way, $11.7 million. Let's get that done, and now let's concentrate on a long-term deal. Hopefully, they'll come to terms. You're not sure. I'm not sure that they will, because I think you think more highly of him and a bigger number than I do.
I think Carlos thinks highly of him, too. I think Carlos' agent thinks highly of him.
Yeah, I do, too. No, I think you're right. And I think the Astros probably are thinking of a lower number. But with the number of free agent shortstops that are out there on the market next year, I think Carlos may come to the realization that he's not going to get a George Springer deal.
There's not going to be an early contract done. Number one is, well, of course, his agent in the past, I mean, I guess now I don't know what his agent's saying now. I think that I remember seeing that even the William Morris agent said, we're not doing any deals until his contract's over. They want to see what the market looks like. So unless they change their opinion on that, unless Carlos changes their opinion, they're going to want to test the markets. The second thing is, this is a market that has been heavily influenced by COVID and financial reductions. It wouldn't make sense. This is the year you don't want to be a free agent, frankly. So it would also make sense you don't want to take a deal right now. I think if you're Carlos Correa, there's not much of a risk to playing out this year and seeing how good you are, because if the hitting does all come together and he puts together a strong year, he's going to have a ton of leverage once that contract is up. And I think he will be able to push the Astros to a much higher number. So I don't expect them to get a deal done in advance. That doesn't mean that the Astros and Carlos Correa are not going to be linked beyond this year, but I just think from a leverage standpoint, remember that agents drive this. The players don't drive it, the agents drive it. And if Carlos trusts the agency to do what's best for him, they're going to wait until he gets to the marketplace as opposed to doing a deal early. So I don't think he'll do an early deal.
And let's face it, they're not a sports agency. So if the one sports guy that they have, they better do a really big deal with and do a really good job. Otherwise, they're going to be highly criticized, and Carlos will be highly criticized too. But I think that's playing with I don't know that that's the best move for Carlos, to tell you the truth, because if he goes out there on that market, there's a lot of guys that found out it ain't as good as you thought it was. And especially with this pandemic, the lack of money, and with all those shortstops that are going to be out there, I don't think he's getting that. I don't think he's getting that Springer deal.
Well, I think we're also working off an assumption that the Astros want to pay him in advance. There's been no signs of that. We haven't seen any signs that they want to give him $20 million plus, right now. So I don't think the Astros, based on the pandemic, are in a big rush to go out and give somebody a bunch of money right now. It may be a mutual thing where both sides want to see what the money looks like after this year as well. How many people are they going to get in the stands? Because if the Astros find out if this rollout takes longer and this goes into the fall, which is possible, then they've got more leverage to say, hey, we have lost a certain amount of money, or our revenues are way down. And Jim Crane doesn't make bad business deals, I've noticed, with these contracts.
No, and by the way, we have seen him this offseason. He ain't paying any big contracts out. And secondly, Carlos has to stay healthy, and he's got to have a bigger regular season than he's ever had. He just doesn't have big regular seasons. That was fine and good, that postseason, but he's got to start doing this in the regular season. And if he does it, he's really playing with fire.
Yeah, you and I would love to see a deal done earlier. I think the reality is the Astros and Carlos Correa side, they may both be on the same page here that, hey, we want to wait, only for different reasons. Correa's side wants to wait for a bigger paycheck, and Jim Crane's side wants to wait to see, is he worth the paycheck?
And another thing that's hurting him is, he doesn't have his Adidas deal anymore. That expired. And, that was extra money coming in. Not a lot, not a big money deal. But all these guys, we're not going to see, especially baseball players, they all want higher average salaries because they don't have the same endorsements that other sports have.
I wonder if that plays into Carlos Correa potentially shopping and William Morris looking for a market where they feel like they can get the best deals for him.
Yeah, New York.
That would concern me a little bit, because you're more limited in Houston. You're not more limited in the Northeast or in Los Angeles area, or there may be some areas where Carlos Correa could make a little bit more from a marketing standpoint. So that's something to keep your eye on as well.
He has been in the national spotlight, though, with the Astros being to 4 straight ALCSs and a couple World Series. People know who Carlos Correa is.
Come up with the money then.
Then come on. Bring it. Bring it for Carlos.